Today is July 12th. I want to show how much things have changed in my garden before the storm hits, and hopefully it will not destroy all of my plants. So starting here, I already picked another pepper from here. These are hot peppers that my sister gave me. They're producing very well. So this was the tomato plant that had some serious issues with virus. It got hit by a virus, and you can see the deformed leaves. And I thought I would have to pull it out, but as you can see, I'm gonna show here on the top. This is new growth. Nice healthy leaves. It's still suffering, so it's still having problems, but it's struggling and it's surviving. Let's see what happens. Over here I have the cabbage. It's beginning to form the head, so hopefully I will have some cabbage. Now this was from a cutting that I had bought of the mulberry, and you can see all of the new leaves. It's setting on this side, doing really well. It finally started growing again, so I'm excited. For a while it was just stagnant. Now my dill is doing very well. It's actually going into bloom now. I've clipped most of the blooms, but I'm leaving one so I can get some seeds. I have these tomatoes are the ones that were broken off from bigger tomato plants, and they survived. And not only have they survived, they're actually growing very well. And here is the tomato plant that got broken. You can see where the break is. The remaining tomatoes are okay, and hopefully it will continue to produce. My chives are doing quite well. Here is another pepper. Lots of peppers formed on it. There are quite a few of these. Here is another hot pepper. As you can see, lots of formations. This is supposed to be Damask chili, so let's see what happens. I have one bean here. I already picked some of the beans from here, but it's doing well. I want to show you my pineapple. Now you can see this was the old pineapple leftover, the leaves that I cut from the top. You can see where the new growth started, and it just really took off. It's doing really well. Nice and healthy with lots of leaves growing from the inside. Here's my basil, doing quite well. A couple more cabbages, also trying to form their heads. You can see. Here is another angle. There is another pepper back there. Here's my watermelon plant. Pull back a little bit. Now the bugs are really getting to it, but it's growing, it's really taken off. And here is the branch, or a piece of the branch that was broken off from the tomato. You can see it's still alive. It's rooting. And another tomato and basil plant. So lots of developments on this side. I have another pot that's growing with new seedlings. These are the second stage of my cucumbers. These are the tomato plants that I didn't think were going to survive, but they did, and they're doing quite well. As you can see, loaded trusses. They did suffer slightly, but they seem to be recovering. My watermelon plant, finally, you can see there are several of them. They finally started taking off. they have blooms. On this watermelon, there is actually a watermelon already formed. Let me get a little bit closer here. Right there. So hopefully it will survive, and if not, well, it still has plenty of chances to form watermelons. So they have two varieties here. This is a lawn watermelon. Here is another tomato plant doing really well. You can see tomatoes there. And this variety is the same as the other one. Also lawn watermelons, and it's growing quite well. Now this variety is completely different. These are smaller black watermelons, black on top. And you can see I have a tiny watermelon formed here. And another tiny watermelon there. So I'm hoping out of these plants I'm gonna have some nice watermelons. These are much smaller and they ripen much faster. So these only have 60 days to ripen and the other ones are 90 days. So hopefully I will at least try and taste the watermelons. My lavender survived. It's still suffering a little bit. It's still very dry. You can see where the dead leaves are. But there is a lot of new growth. You can see right here. Right there. That's all new growth on the sides. So it's recovering and it's even trying to bloom. So not of total, not completely dead yet. These tomatoes I thought were not doing quite well, but they are finally taken off and they're growing much faster now and producing at the same time. Now this one surprised me. This is a pepper. It's a big Bertha. Big Bertha pepper. Finally, it was so sick for a very long time and it finally growing again. Lots of growth, lots of new leaves and even a bud. So let's see what happens. Here are some of my carrots. Now I have planted them in multiple stages. I have some that are a little bit farther along and some that just woke up. So they're staggered. Oh, this is my delightful corner. So I don't know where to start here. I'm gonna start with what really brings me a lot of joy here. So first of all, these cantaloupes. It's actually hard to see. I have these two large ones. So this is the biggest one. I have the smaller one. But what I also have are a ton of these teeny tiny ones. And some not so tiny anymore. So they're growing fast. You can see, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, just on that one vine. 4 cantaloupes on a single vine. And then I have another one back there. Let's see, it's hard to see it here. There is a cantaloupe right there, and another one, and two more right here. Actually 3 more. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Anyways, well over a dozen cantaloupes here, so I'm very, very happy with these plants. Now, their neighbors are also growing like crazy. I have these huge eggplants. This one is only 2 days old, but the farther one I'm probably gonna pick today. It's big and it's slowing down the development of the others. So that one I'm gonna pick. But there's also a ton of blooms still. On this corner I have these long eggplants, aubergines, and I have so many peppers. It's not even funny. I mean, seriously. A lot of peppers inside. It's kind of hard to see because of all the greenery, but I'm very happy with them. Now the hard part is trying to keep the pepper rot or the blossom rot out of it. Here are some more eggplants. These are a different variety. There is a Rosa Bianca right here. It has 3 big blooms, and one of them already formed. And there is another one here. Now at this point I have no idea what tomato plant this is. I was told this is supposed to be the Cherokee Purple. It is obviously not. So I already picked 2 of the larger ones from the bottom. They were my lunch today. But you can see they're changing color fast. But they also have more blooms here on top. So hopefully I will have more tomatoes forming on this one. This has been absolutely joyful. Again, my sister says this is a black cherry when it's supposed to be a Cherokee Purple. So you can see the tags on them. I mean, it clearly says Cherokee Purple, heirloom tomato, but it's not. So regardless, it has these wonderful tomatoes on them. I've been eating them and they are delicious. I already saved one for seeds, and hopefully I will save another one. Now back here I have my poblano pepper, my Ancha Rachera. It's a nice big pepper, but only one, so I'm not too happy with its performance. Hopefully it will produce more than just one pepper. Now this corner, actually I want to show you just how high these tomatoes have gone. Now that pole is at 8 feet. So both the beans and the pole, you can see the tomatoes are way above my head. And they're way above the trellis. This is the corner that got really hit. It got dried out and I thought it was dead, but as you can see, everything has bounced back. I picked 1 cherry tomato from here this morning, and there is another one ripening right there. You can see the different shapes of tomatoes here. They're lovely, forming. Still have a lot of beans. So I've been picking beans every single day, and they're very, very nice and delicious. But looks like I need to pick them yet again. So you can see they're just now beginning to change color on some of these, and still small ones have just formed. So I'm excited about these cherry tomatoes. So many of them, and absolutely wonderful. You can see they've changed colors. Like I said, I already picked some, and they're delicious. I'm gonna transition here. So here's my squash. It's kind of suffering. It got hit by powdery mildew. So you can see all the cuts where I cut off the dead leaves or the injured leaves. But it still has squashes on them. Let's see, hopefully they will produce. Now in this round bed, this is a full menagerie. I just trimmed my parsley. It was really full. So there is new parsley growing there. My carrots are doing fantastic. Look at these. That's a carrot. These are carrots. So they're doing really well. And my looks like my strawberries have not only sent out runners, but the runners sent out runners. So I'm gonna have a lot more strawberries next year. My sorrel is doing really well. It's been a joy eating it in salads. It's been great. I have some ripe strawberries, you can see. So much joy out of this little corner. And some more ripe strawberries here. So here's another piece of tomato that was it was actually a sucker, so I stuck it in the ground and it's growing quite well. You can see it has its own flowers now, so that's another success story. So I'm gonna have lots of tomatoes hopefully again. And I already checked my carrots. They all have formed carrots inside. I have beautiful oregano, lovely rosemary. So this is a good story. I have my second bag of potatoes. They're doing quite well. I'm just gonna let them run out until they all die off on their stems, and then I'm gonna collect them, unlike the first bag. And here is the first bag where I collected, and I already planted a replacements, and then you can see the new batch of potatoes took off and they're growing. So we still have about 3 months before the frost hits, so I have time to grow more potatoes. Now this bed with cabbage really was a disaster. It did not grow well at all. They are still in the same stages as they were 3 months ago, so I don't know what went wrong with here, but for whatever reason this cabbage just did not grow. It's really a shame. It would have been beautiful cabbages. Here is another plant that I really have no idea what it is supposed to be. It was supposed to be a cucumber, but then back there, that was supposed to be a cucumber as well, but it turned out to be squash. So I don't know if this is a squash or a cucumber. I guess I'll find out when it grows up. So here's a little overview. Everything is in containers, as you can see. So it's not my land. But it's growing quite well, so I'm gonna transition here. So the remaining part of my hollyhocks, they're beautiful, but they're almost dying out now. There's lots of seeds. I'm gonna be able to propagate them next year. This is a new bed of cucumbers. You can see they woke up. I also, just like last time, I put a little bit of beans here on the edge, just to give the cucumbers a little bit extra nitrogen when they're grown. Here I planted some extra beans, but they're not doing well. I don't know if it's the bugs that got them or something, but for whatever reason, everything in this pot is just dying. And yeah, I stuck on some extra wildflowers just to attract the pollinators to the area. They're not really growing, they're just staying there. So here is the remnants of my blueberries. The first wave of blueberries is already over, but you can see the second wave that was blooming much later is still forming. They're still growing, so in another month or so I'm gonna have more blueberries. So there is the remnants of the first one and the continuation. You can see quite a few of them are formed. So I'm looking forward to more blueberries later in the season. It's really been a wonderful, wonderful growth here. More hollyhocks here. Lovely. So this has been a kind of disaster area. As you can see, I pulled the beans out. They got hit by bugs. I pulled all of them out. Instead, I put one more seedling of cucumber in here. There is a couple more seeds in there. Now again, this is the cucumber that got severed and I thought it was dead, As you can see, it's growing quite well. It has its own bottle with nutrients. I gave it a little bit of a mix of calcium and magnesium, as well as a little bit of a green nitrogen mixture that I make out of plants. So of course everything is organic completely. There is still lots of cucumbers here on these plants, but as you can see, pretty much everyone has a cucumber, every part. So still lots of growth. So not a total loss yet, but I'm gonna pan over here. You can see the storm is moving in. Hopefully it will not be too severe. Anyway, come in here. These are more cherry tomatoes. As you can see, they got hit really badly. They lost most of the tomatoes on them, unfortunately. But the ones that were formed stayed on. Looks like these are the yellow-orange variety. They're almost ready to be picked. So, absolutely lovely color. I'm excited to taste them when they're fully ripened. You can see there is still lots of bloom and lots of growth on these. So hopefully they will keep on producing. My flowers, my orange trees. The orange trees are not doing well. Something keeps eating them and I don't know what it is. I'll have to help them. But you can see the empty branches. This is where all the blooms were. If anyone knows how to fix this, I don't know. Some new leaves grew back, but you can see they're really struggling. I have no idea how to help this plant. My green beans. I've been really picking them, but I had to trim them. They got hit really hard by bugs, so I trimmed all of the dead leaves. You can see all of the new ones are growing back. Nice and vibrant green. I'm gonna transition here. Here is another batch of cucumbers here. You can see they're producing. Lots of cucumbers formed. And they're growing really fast. So I'm looking forward to trying these cucumbers. Unfortunately, they're right next to the area where there is lots of bugs. Anything that I planted here, all of the flowers. These are the hollyhocks. You can see how much they're riddled by the bugs. I planted some extra beans. So all of this used to be beans. As you can see, it's all dead. Just remnants of the dried up beans because everything got eaten by the bugs. I mean, this area has been just an absolute disaster. Whether it's flowers, whether it's beans, everything just dies. And I have no idea why, but something here eats them. Which is really a shame. This would have been really beautiful. I mean, you can see something killed them. Have beautiful dahlias. They have not even finished blooming and they were dead. I don't know if they were sprayed with some kind of chemical or something, but something killed everything here. So there are some beautiful dahlias here. Lovely, lovely colors. And again, they have not even opened yet, but they obviously have been hit by a chemical of some sort. My guess is it's whoever was doing the lawn, whether it's on the other side or on this one, I don't know. Doesn't matter now. They're dead. So this is a sad part of my garden. But then it's the same kind of damage that was done here. This garden basket was so beautiful, and you can see everything is burned out by chemical. I mean, this is clear chemical. It's not something that was caught. It's just destroyed. Whoever did this, I clearly knew what they were doing. Luckily, this one's still alive. It's beautiful. But here's another one that's almost dead. You can see the damage. And I can't really win against this kind of attack. And these are still okay. So there's the last view of the beautiful flowers here, and a view at our bay. It is gorgeous. There is a ship farther out. It was actually a Coast Guard ship going through today. It surprised me. So I'm gonna get back inside before this storm hits, because when it does, it's gonna be ferocious. The alerts already came through. So the last review of the bay. I'm gonna say goodbye and thank you for joining me.